Hi, everybody. My name is Cynthia Wade. I'm the founder and managing director at do-over.me. Do-over.me is a 6-year-old not-for-profit that was founded to provide proven, practical, and professional support on a sliding scale to anyone who's looking for meaningful employment. When 2020 started, I had no idea, as I'm sure you didn't either, of what was going to happen to employment. I heard on the radio today that this week is the 16th straight week where unemployment claims have topped 1 million. It's just mind-blowing. That's 4 months of high unemployment. And what have we seen during those 4 months? We've seen situations where we think it's getting better, and in some cases, like New York and Chicago, it is getting better. But then there are other places like Florida and Texas and California where it's getting worse. Nobody knows what's going to happen. It's anybody's guess. But the bottom line is that however this all plays out, it's going to be months and maybe even years before the employment situation across the world, and especially in this country, gets back onto a normal even keel. Do-over.me is designed to meet you where you're at and help you to be the most competitive candidate that you can be in the industry niche that you're in, so that you have the best possible chance of going back to work in one of those first waves that goes back to work into a job that is really going to be providing meaning for you. Meaning in the sense that it's going to pay your bills and satisfy a little bit about who you are and what you feel like you need to give to the world. If you want to know more about do-over.me, it's really easy. Visit our website. It's a very robust website that is got a lot of information on it. You can reach it just www.doover.me, and that's always spelled DO-OVER.ME. You can also send me an email. You can reach me, Cynthia, Cynthia, at do-over.me. Again, DO-OVER.ME. Or pick up the phone and call me. I love to meet new people. I love to talk on the phone. I love to find out what it's like to be you. So you can reach me at 630-402-0429, extension number 1, and I'll be happy to talk with you. And if I'm already talking to somebody else, please leave a message, because I will call you back. And if I can call you outside of normal business hours, that works for me too. So let's talk today about Q&A. So many people are out of work, and so many people have questions. So what I've been doing for the last couple of weeks, actually almost a month, is gathering some questions about what this process of being out of work and looking for a job looks like. So today, I've chosen some of those questions, as well as some questions about do-over.me specifically, and we're going to ask and answer those questions. For those of you who are watching, please feel to type your questions in. Please feel free to type your questions in, and when I notice them, I will be happy to address them also. But in case you're not able to get your questions typed in, or you're listening to the recording of this, I want to go through, and I bet that some of these questions that we're going to ask and answer today are questions that you have. So here we go. Couple things, just generally speaking. How do I know what I want to do? How do I know if I'm even qualified to do what I want to do? How do I know how much what I want to do will pay? How do I know how to search correctly for the right jobs? Am I taking the right approach to this? Those are all great questions, and some of them we're going to answer today, and some of them we'll answer the next time we get together, or call me and I'll answer them for you. But the bottom line is that whatever your question is, I guarantee you that somebody else has that same question. So that's what we're going to try to start tackling today, is what are the questions and what are the right answers, or the best answers. So one of the first questions is, how long should my resume be and what should it look like? So, in my professional opinion, your resume should be 1 page, 2 sides. That's very different from a 1 page resume. Even for most kids coming straight out of school, in my professional opinion, a 1 page resume isn't enough. 1 page, 2 sides. More than that is too much. However, the other piece of it, what should it contain and what should it look like, is equally important. And what I want to share with you as a professional recruiter with 11 and a half years, I think it was, experience in the recruiting industry, and as an older person, what I want to share with you is that I would much rather look at a resume that's 1 page, 2 sides, that's got a really nice amount of white space around it so that I don't have to get out my magnifying glass to look at all the type. It's more than 10 or 11 point type, so that it's clean and easy to look at. So when you're thinking about your resume, think about what you can do to make it easy to look at. Also, what can you do to make certain things stand out on your resume? Okay, so I'm here to tell you, if you're getting your resume writing advice from Pinterest, stop that right now. That is the most ridiculous waste of time. Those resumes are pretty, but they don't necessarily function right. Even when you save them as PDFs, if they don't inhale properly in the applicant tracking software, they are worthless. So what you need to do is concentrate on building a resume that is professionally presented with the use of different sizes and weights of type and a lot of white space. At do-over.me, we do resumes very differently than a lot of people do, and that is because I have 18 years experience in business-to-business marketing before I got into recruiting. Well, come on, people, we all know that marketing is what you're doing when you're looking for a job, right? You're marketing yourself. You're the product, you're the service. So what we do at do-over.me is we take those basic marketing principles and the graphic design that comes with a marketing piece and put that perspective into a resume. So we end up with very professional looking resumes that are filled with strong, solid marketing content. And you don't do that with crazy fonts and crazy colors and little emojis and, you know, it doesn't work that way. Now, a lot of people will say, well, I'm a creative person and I want my resume to reflect my creativity. I get that. I understand how that works. But the reality is that the resume that you use to apply to an applicant tracking system should be as plain as possible. Because as I said before, if it's not going to go through the system and the recruiter is going to hit delete, delete, delete. Now, that's not to say that you shouldn't have a second resume. You should. You should have a creative resume, one that truly expresses your creative spirit and your creative gifts and talents. However, that's not the one you're sending through the applicant tracking system. You're going to use that one primarily when you're actually handing a resume to a person. And in that situation, you can say, I recognize that the applicant tracking system resume that I sent you doesn't look like this. But the reality is, I know that it doesn't go through the system well, and you can't read it when it looks like this. So I sent a simpler one through the system, and now I have this one for you that really showcases what I'm all about. What have you done in that situation? You have showed that potential employer that you immediately understand common business problems and that you know how to adapt to situations and present your best foot forward. Excuse me. Make sense? Okay, so first question. How long should my resume be? First answer, 1 page, 2 sides. Second question, what should my resume look like? It shouldn't necessarily be pretty. It should be professional. Third question, what should my resume contain? Strong, solid marketing statements that are going to create an interest in you and cause that person that's reading it to pick up the phone and call you. Resume is the first step in the process, and all you want it to do is to get you a phone call. Okay? Make sense? If you have any questions about this, give me a call. Write me an email. Let me know. I'm happy to expand upon that if you'd like to know a little bit more. Second question is going to be, okay, let me just find one here. Okay, this is an easy one. Should my resume list my references and their contact details? No, absolutely not. If your resume still says on it, references available upon request, all you're doing is dating yourself. Resumes don't contain that information. It's assumed that if we get far enough along in this process and I want to hear about your references, you're going to be able to provide them. In the meantime, those are your professional contacts, and you don't want to be sharing those willy-nilly with hiring authorities or with HR people that don't necessarily need to have that information. The second thing is that if somebody is really interested in knowing what people think about you now, they should be able to go to your LinkedIn profile where you should have a boatload of recommendations. So that's a whole other conversation. But the reality is that everybody needs to have a LinkedIn profile, and that's where you're going to be gathering recommendations. And a lot of times, as employers go through the hiring process, they don't even ask for references anymore. They just will go to your LinkedIn profile and look at what people have said about you in the recommendations. So, what is that? Fourth question. Should my resume list my references and their contact details? Absolutely not. Absolutely not. Second thing, or next question, excuse me, is what's the difference between HR and HA? So here we are. Acronyms are like the bane of my existence. Every industry has their own set of acronyms that are unique to them. And if you're not immersed in that industry, a lot of times people start to talk and use acronyms, and you don't know what they're talking about because you're not necessarily immersed in that industry. Well, when you're on the hunt for a new job, you should know the difference between HR and HA. So, HR is human resources. And that's the recruiter that's being employed by the company to do the first round of interviews with potential candidates for the jobs that that company has open. The reality is that it's HR's job to exclude you rather than include you. What they want to do is exclude the people that are really not good matches for this position and push forward to the HA or hiring authority the people that really are the good matches. So, HA, hiring authority. That's the person who you're probably going to work for or who has the ability to say, yes, you're hired or no, you're not hired. It's a very important distinction and a very important understanding because their roles in the process are very different. As I said, HR is designed to exclude you, to only move forward the very, very best matches so that they get in front of the hiring authority. Once you get in front of the hiring authority, their job is to find out all you can bring to the organization. They want to know about not just this job that you're interviewing for, but about the potential that you have to make a lasting change within the organization. And most importantly, and this is so important to remember, the hiring authority is in pain. What the heck does that mean? It means that when a job is open in an organization, it's open because somebody feels the need, the pain of having that position vacant, either because it's a new position that they're hiring for because of growth, or because the person that has been in that position is now gone. Either way, somebody is in pain. Somebody is in pain because the things that should be getting done by that empty position are not getting done. And that's frequently the hiring authority. It's your job as a candidate to understand what their pain is and be able to provide them with the solution to their pain. What you want to do is listen well, understand what's causing concern, and be able to say, well, I can do that. Let me tell you about the time when I blah, 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 blah. And then you've got a story to tell that's as similar as you can make it of a situation in which you solved somebody else's pain. And that's what gets you the job. The ability to solve somebody else's pain. That's where you're going to connect with them. And that's where they're going to see you as somebody important that can be brought onto the team. So, what is that? 5 questions I think we're up to now. 5 questions. The difference between HR and HA. HR is human resources. You want to get past them as quickly as possible. And HA is hiring authority. You want to get to them as quickly as possible and spend most of your time talking and responding to them. If you do that, that's going to really be helpful to you in getting them to understand why you are the right person for that job. Okay, we're going to go back now and we're going to do a do-over.me question. So, one of the questions that I get asked a lot of times is, what's a do-over and why the heck did you name this do-over? Well, it's real simple. A do-over is like when you were a kid and you were out playing hopscotch or baseball or kick the can, whatever it was that you were playing, and you make a mistake, and all of a sudden you say, do-over, do-over, I want a do-over. And all of your friends look at you and say, oh, all right, do-over. Let her do it over. That's a do-over. Everybody makes mistakes. From the time we're little kids all the way up till now, everybody makes mistakes. When we're little kids, we get to do it over as many times as we need to until we get it right. Well, why does that only have to be for kids? That's what I wanted to know when I started DoOver.me. Let's recognize that even as adults, we can get things wrong. And even as adults, we need a chance to wipe the slate clean and be able to do something over again. You know, it doesn't have to all be rocket science. Maybe for some of you that's what your jobs are, and it is rocket science. But a job shouldn't define you. It's not who you are. It's what you do. And yes, the choice of what you do should be really important to you and it should bring meaning to your life. But the reality is that not all of us end up in that place as quickly as we would like to. And I think it's absolutely just fine to be able to holler, do over, as many times as you need to in order to get yourself where it is that you really want to be. Because I believe that for everybody, we should be able to lead with our strengths and find ourselves doing work that is meaningful for us. Not for your neighbor, not for your sister-in-law, but for us, for you. And meaningful work for you in our world at do-over.me means that it pays your bills and that it also feeds your soul. So that's a little bit of Q&A for today. I hope you learned something. We're going to start doing this on a regular basis because there's, as you can see, there's a bunch more pages here of questions that people have. So look for us on Facebook Live. We're also going to be posting this on our YouTube site, and we're waiting patiently, not really, for LinkedIn to say we can do it live on LinkedIn too. So in the meantime, if you have more questions, please reach out to us by either looking at our website, do-over.me, sending me an email, Cynthia at do-over.me, or picking up that phone and giving me a call at 630-402-0429, extension 1. Thanks a lot, everybody. I hope you learned something, and I hope you enjoy this great, great summer day. Take care.